Hi everyone, my name is Julio Lopez and I'm the Associate Director of Retail Strategy at Movable Inc. And today I have the pleasure of playing a dual role. For the first half of this webinar, I will be your lead presenter on the topic of Black Friday. And in the second half, I will play moderator to our guests joining us from DSW. So as far as today's agenda, we'll take a look at Black Friday by the numbers and talk about key learnings and strategies from last year. And then we'll hear from our wonderful panelists from DSW, Aaron Zoller and Michelle Murphy, who will review with us the highlights of their key email campaigns with us. And as mentioned earlier, we'll wrap it all up with Q&A at the end. So before we jump in, let me give you a little bit more background on me. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Julio Lopez, and I'm the Associate Director of Client Strategy for Movable Inc., focusing on the retail vertical. My role within Movable Inc. is to partner with key retail clients to identify and deliver strategy frameworks that drive meaningful results. I started my career at Cheetah Mail, now Cheetah Digital, and then I went to lead the customer success organization at RepTrax. And then before joining Movable Inc., I was based out of Spain, leading strategic work streams for Eversight's European client base. And now I've been with Movable Inc. for a little over a year, and it's my pleasure to be hosting today's webinar. So for those of you who may be a little less familiar with Movable Inc., our technology enables digital marketing leaders to create unique, relevant, and compelling visual experiences across email, web, and display at the exact moment of open or engagement. So with Movable Inc., digital marketers can free their data from the silos that they're usually housed in and activate that data to generate intelligent creative with millions of unique variations based on things like customer context, consumer behavior, and third-party insights. More than 700 of the world's leading brands have chosen Movable Inc.'s patented technology as their visual experience platform. We have over 275 employees across the globe. We also have an extensive partner network and ecosystem of complementary services and technologies. And we are one of the fastest growing private technology companies, as well as a top company to work for. And here is a quick snapshot of our clients. The only thing I'm prouder of than this slide are the relationships we built with the marketers at these organizations. We've had a terrific amount of clients take us with them from their existing companies to their next companies. In fact, one of the members of our client advisory board just took us to his fourth company. So that really speaks volumes to the work that we do with our key clients. Okay, so now that I've covered these not so humble brag slides, let's move on to today's topic. I'm excited to discuss the most impactful ways that marketers can drive results this holiday season, and later on learn more about how DSW uses automation to create standout customer experiences. But first, why don't we address the elephant in the room? It's only June, so why are we talking about Black Friday now? So I think we're all very well aware that Black Friday is a significant day for retail, but it's just one part of the hectic end-of-year season that usually begins when summer ends. So the best way to get ahead of the Q4 madness is early planning. The summer months are a great time to brainstorm ideas for the entire holiday season, so you can form a plan and map out your goals. So by the time September and October roll around, you should ideally have your campaign plan in place. And as a reminder for everyone, October is doubly important because we expect to see all of you at our Think Summit on October 29th and 30th in New York. By the way, if you click the top link under the resource list in your webinar console, you can enter for a chance to win a free VIP trip. And this VIP trip includes a 2-day conference pass, round-trip flight, luxury transportation from JSK, and a 2-night stay at a New York City hotel. So we hope to see you there. Make sure you sign up for that. All right, so enough of my shameless plug. As you're well aware, the winter holiday season only gets more hectic as we get closer to November and December. And the dates that you see in front of you are only a small snapshot of the busiest season of the year for retail marketers. As you plan your campaigns, it's very important to remember key strategies that can be applied across the board. from Black Friday all the way to New Year's. So starting with planning and prep, a little organization goes a long way. The sooner you plan your campaigns and their goals and KPIs, the fewer errors there will be, and the more revenue you'll be able to generate. From a customer experience perspective, you should definitely be focused on the customer and leverage as much real-time data as possible to deliver those highly personalized experiences. And when it comes to campaign execution, you should really focus on scalability by taking a modular approach to email, creating these reusable modules that dynamically update with real-time content, and then work on any necessary vendor integrations in the summer months so you're ready to go for Q4. So let's break these down a bit. Planning and prep is also tied directly to revenue. Getting started early means that you're able to communicate with customers earlier in the right way. And this is particularly important during the holiday season because early shoppers outspend late shoppers, as you can see by the numbers here. And for the 27% of customers who are shopping after Thanksgiving, many of them are making their purchases on Black Friday. So there's a significant amount of dollars at play for retailers to try and capture. Our second strategic pillar, customer experience, can make or break your Black Friday results. And this really goes above and beyond making sure that your website will be able to handle the traffic and not crash as many have done in the past. Consumers are looking for personalization and connected cross-channel experiences, something akin to this example from the Books Company. So the Books Company needed to drive landing page conversions and promote their product line of potted plants and succulents. So working with Movable Ink, they created an email with a personalized header image that pulled in each customer's name overlaid over an eye-catching image. And then when the customer clicked through, they were taken to a landing page with a personalized message thanking them for being a customer, along with the number of years they've been shopping at the Books. And this cross-channel campaign saw a 75% lift in conversions. And this is just a small example of the type of data that we can pull in from an email into a landing page. Name is sort of a given, but any data that we can pull into an email can be brought over into a landing page to create those personalized experiences. And then moving on to our next pillar, when it comes to campaign execution, the focus on scalability is key. There are way too many moving parts once the holiday season hits. So not only are you in the midst of execution, but you're also likely planning for the next year. So to reduce the stress that this time period brings, a key strategy is to place content into your emails that is not only reusable across campaigns, but that also updates dynamically by tapping into real-time data. And you can see that in this example from Lenovo. For their Black Friday campaign, they used a modular template that let them automatically pull in the latest Black Friday offers, including limited time doorbuster deals and products inspired by the customer's recent purchase. And each of these modules updated automatically depending on the day and time that the customer opened the email. And the best part is that Lenovo was able to reuse this modular template throughout Cyber Week so they could send more campaigns with less production time. And again, during the busiest time of the year, who doesn't want to save time? So Black Friday is actually part of a strong consumer spending period known as the Cyber 5. The official start of the holiday season begins on Thanksgiving and is particularly compact from a sales volume perspective leading up to Cyber Monday. And last year, out of the Cyber 5, Cyber Monday was, and will likely continue to be, the biggest driver of e-commerce sales. But it's very interesting to look at the strong e-commerce sales during Black Friday. In the past, Black Friday was viewed as an in-store only shopping day, but that isn't the case anymore. As you can see here, consumer digital spend is strong on Black Friday and is second only to Cyber Monday sales. It's also worth noting the year-over-year increase in email volume as well as other communications like SMS. Basically, this is telling us that consumers are being bombarded with messages. So this means that marketers need to create dynamic, personalized, and engaging experiences to stand out from the noise in the inbox. And if we take this even further to look at the overall holiday season, we can see that year-over-year growth is very, very strong. Total retail spend was up 5.4%. E-commerce saw a big lift of 16.7%. And taking economic factors into consideration, eMarketer is predicting a 3.7 lift in retail spend for the 2019 holiday season. So that alone should be a huge motivating factor to have the right strategies in place ahead of Black Friday and the rest of the holiday season. So when we talk about strategies, we have to keep top of mind that they should all be focused around the consumer and their individual shopping habits during the holiday season. So I know that this is a pretty busy slide, and you'll be able to take a deeper look once we send this recording out. But the key takeaway is that as marketers, we need to adapt to our customers' needs. So we can unpack this a little bit. What we're seeing here is that, one, consumers want to engage in mobile commerce. So you have to make sure that you have optimized landing pages, maybe call out your mobile app downloads in your emails to those customers who don't have an app, or just think about what that experience is going to be for that individual on those smaller screens. Another thing that we see here is that customers are multi-channel. So at least for those going from email to your e-com site, you have to make sure that the experience is seamless. And that's from looking at things like the creative itself or an inventory point of view. The last thing that you would want to do is send an email calling out a product that is actually out of stock. So being able to pull in that real-time inventory information into your email and collapsing content that is no longer in stock will make sure that that multi-channel experience is seamless for that individual. Another thing, if you offer buy online, pick up in store, make sure you call that out early as customers are looking to engage in commerce in that fashion. And also, if you plan on offering discounts, make sure that you're sending the right ones to the right people, because different segments want different things. And a way to identify what a customer might want to see is by simply testing different offer structures, different offer messaging to the different segments. But really, all of this boils down to creating those dynamic, personalized, and engaging experiences across channels. So how can retail marketers create these customer experiences, or rather elevated customer experiences? So we can take a look here at just a few strategies that can elevate both your results and that customer experience that we want to deliver. Let's start with automation. So with a visual experience platform like Movable Link, you can automate the entire content creation process by marrying data with creative across multiple channels to save your team time and resources. So while we're using the term automation here, what we're really talking about is really templatizing your campaigns so you can easily update them with fresh, personalized content at any time and in real time. The next one is real-time pricing and inventory. So during the holidays, sales prices and product inventory can fluctuate a lot. So by adding real-time pricing and inventory to your campaign, you can improve the customer experiences with prices that are always accurate and drive urgency around popular products with low inventory. The next one is behavioral. Shopping cart abandonment skyrockets during the holiday season to 74%. So that's why leveraging your customers' behavioral data, like recently browsed products or products that they've actually left in their cart, is especially powerful for converting customers during the holiday season. So with Movable Link, you could easily include a dynamic cart abandon or browse abandon module that is included in all of your promotional sends that will collapse if there's content to show, or show the content that is relevant based on that user's behavior. And then the last one is data integration. We're all familiar with the challenge of activating customer data. Movable Link makes it easy for retail marketers to leverage their existing data sets to create those visual one-to-one customer experiences that harken back to the data that's available on that individual. And we will be discussing that in more detail in just a few moments during our conversation with DSW. So you've heard a lot from me today, and we can jump into that conversation with DSW. I am very happy to give you a little break from me. So let's bring in our wonderful panelists from DSW, Aaron Zoller and Michelle Murphy, so they can share a little bit more about how they work with Movable Ink to create beautiful, automated campaigns that their customers love. So Aaron, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell the audience a little bit more about your company and your roles within the company?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining on the call today and hearing what we have to say. So my name is Michelle Murphy. I'm the manager here of our digital CRM program, so that includes all email and mobile direct-to-consumer communications on behalf of the brand. I've been here for about 2 years. Overall, I have about 8 years of experience in the digital CRM world across a few different industries. I've worked at Wendy's in my past, I've worked at Luxottica, and I've also worked at Scotts Miracle-Gro. So it's really a matter of applying that same type of personalization and customer interaction via the digital direct-to-consumer channel and figuring out the best way to resonate with the customer within each of those industries. So that's primarily my focus.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Zoller. I'm a senior CRM specialist here at DSW. I've been here for almost just about a year. Prior to my time at DSW, have also worked at other retailers like The Limited and Bath & Body Works, and just within the digital space and driving strategy for email and brands.
Thank you so much for that. It's absolutely great to have you here. So let's dive in. I know the core topic we wanted to highlight today is DSW Sunday Send. For those of you on the line, DSW Sunday Send is a weekly promotional email with the latest and most relevant offers for every customer. And today, that campaign has become much simpler to deploy than it once was. So Michelle, can you talk us through the evolution of the Sunday Send? Like, how did you work with your account team at Movable Ink to make the Sunday Send happen?
Sure. So the Sunday Send, it's gone through a large evolution over the course of the last couple of years. It initially started out as a branded email that we call the Sunday Spotlight. So initially the Sunday Spotlight, this was about a year and a half ago, it started as a merchant-driven email based off of what type of inventory they wanted to get through. However, it became a little operationally complex to try to get something like that out the door and rely on them all the time for the content that would go within that email. So eventually the Sunday Spotlight became an email that it was essentially the branded Sunday Spotlight headline sitting on top of whatever product story we had going on. So there wasn't anything consistent around it. But one of the things that we noticed once we dug into it was that there was a spike in online behavior in the evenings on Sunday. So we had the thought, why not create an email to capitalize on that consumer behavior on the site and what consumers might already be doing up to that point once they receive that email. So really we worked with Movable Ink at length. It was a lot to build out this email, but a lot in a really good, productive way to figure out a blend of site behavior and a blend of personalized customer behavior to integrate within one email to say, like, hey, this is your summary for the week. This is what's happening on the site. This is what you're looking at. And, you know, take a look at all of these great products and this great assortment that we have here for you. Obviously, for DSW as a brand, our big thing is that we have such a large assortment of product to be able to feature to a customer just depending on what it is that she needs at the time. So really the goal of this email was to tap into all of that breadth, give her lots of choices to pick from, personalize it a bit more to her likes and needs, and then be able to send that out on a weekly basis. So the great thing about it is now we're at a spot where it's a weekly email. We always know it's going out. There's minimal touch that we have to do to it at this point. Whereas before, circling back to the Sunday Spotlight, it was sort of a scramble. We would get together with other teams, like, what is it we're going to send out today? Now we know consistently what that should be and what that should look like. And then we make optimizations along the way. Since now it's more of a modular build based off of that blended site and personalized behavior, we're able to look at it from an engagement perspective to decide, what is or isn't working, what can we optimize, what can we tweak, and then we make adjustments to the email based off of that. And so today, now we have a really good low-touch email that performs really well every time we send it, and it was really all with the help of Movable Ink. The entire thing is pretty much powered through web scrapes, and a lot of the site content and lots of things. Lots of Movable Ink. So, we also have the X amount of people shopping this right now. So a lot of it's really driven by Movable Ink with the components in each of the modules. So it's just that it was a long journey to get it up and running, but once it was running, we've seen great success.
Yeah, I love what you called out there, that there was some work that needed to be done both on your end and our end to get this up and running, but that once that work was completed, it's freed up a lot of resources to focus more on additional strategic initiatives versus having to worry about whether this email is going to go out or not, or what the content's going to be, and then scrambling on a Friday night to get those proofs out, and all that comes with email marketing at the last minute. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense that there was a need to change up the process for getting this email built out. And I think that every pain point that you've mentioned does harken back to some of those Black Friday strategies that we were just presenting, the strategies around that automation, making sure that everything's scalable from an efficiency perspective, and making sure that the content is personalized for the individual based on things like their website behavior. And as you mentioned in your commentary, you were trying to capitalize on that website behavior, and pulling that into the email is going to do just that. So Erin, let's turn to you. Since we are talking about this campaign's evolution, perhaps you can walk us through some of the modules in the Sunday Send and tell us the data that you're using in each?
Absolutely, yes. So to Michelle's point, this email really is driven by a mix of behavioral as well as site content. So, just going through and looking at the modules, we want to make sure that we're always presenting the most relevant and personalized content to the customer. So, we first, if they're part of our loyalty program, we inform them within our header of their status as well as their reward threshold, as well as then including first name personalization within the header. The great thing too about this email is because it is so low touch, we can very easily update the promo week over week to include that kind of support for the brand. And then also just looking at things that we know are engaging to the customer from our site. So highlighting things like new arrivals, bestsellers, top rated, and also including some social validation within those, like letting customers know XX people are shopping this right now, and using web crops to make sure within those modules that the most relevant product is getting pulled in week over week without us really having to touch it. Some other things that we do include within the send is we do have some weather, what we call our weather forecaster module. And what that does is it actually geolocates customers based on where they open the email, and it lets them know a 3-day forecast and then gives product recommendations based off that forecast. So again, just continuing to develop that personalized content that's relevant to the person in real time. We also include some UGC content with our Instagram that we see people engaging with, and pulling in the most recent post to kind of drive some inspiration for customers using the UGC content. And then we also have an area where we pull in some dynamic subs that target customers, again, based on their locations and services that are offered in their store. So, really holistically, we are really just trying to serve the best content for customers. We also have different segmented sends that go to customers based on specific product affinities. So if they are more of a comfort shoe shopper or a more wide width shoe shopper. We also then web prep product specifically to those segments because we know that there is a want and need, and again, just driving that best and personalized relevant content to the customer.
Wow, yeah, those are some amazing changes, and it's astonishing to see how the campaign has evolved from where it used to be, and then through all the work and the partnership where it's landed now. One thing that I will point out in all of these different modules is that fact that they are actual individual modules that can be, swapped in, maybe collapsed if they don't make sense for a specific send, or maybe even brought into a different email that is not the Sunday send. So I can see how this can deliver that efficiency win because you're able to kind of drag and drop the content that you want to pull in based on different communications. So super excited to see the changes that we've been able to implement together, and definitely looking forward to seeing how this continues to evolve as we iterate. But with the current changes, Erin, what kind of performance lifts have you seen from the Sunday Send now that you're using Movable Ink?
We're actually heading to about a year of having this campaign in place, and I think really since day one of the launch, it has been a top 5 performer for us week over week. We consistently see strong engagement, high open rates and click rates within the email that just always is outperforming itself. I think it's just really great to see those kinds of results with an email like this because, again, it is so low touch, but always continuing to pull in the newest and greatest content. So it's just been incredible to see that kind of performance.
No, yeah, absolutely. And that not only is that great to hear, but I think that for everybody in the line, that's the ideal trifecta that we're gunning for, right? The efficiency wins, the engagement that these emails might deliver, and also the performance, because at the end of the day, we are, tying ourselves back to revenue. But so, Michelle, let's kick it over to you. If you were to stop and think about the overall evolution, how have DSW's campaigns progressed over time, and is there anything that you're most proud of?
Sure. So, the big thing is we work in retail. This is a super reactionary environment, especially as we're competing against the likes of, the Amazons in the world where there's a quick online service. So figuring out the best way that we can be the most available to the customer when the business needs it is a big thing, I would say, for any company across the board. So having these types of emails that we partner with Movable Ink on, it allows us to be a lot more nimble within this type of reactionary environment. There are days where, our leadership will come to us and say, tomorrow this new thing needs to start, and, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we need to scramble to make some magic happen. And so for us, we lean a lot on Movable Ink with reactionary templates, as we've called them, that allow us to be able to create the type of content that's needed to be able to boost the business the way we need to, and get things out the door. And, on top of that, we're never content with just sitting still. Like, we're always evaluating and evolving our campaigns, figuring out the best way we can test them, figuring out the best way to get the most optimal read, figuring out what's the most profitable and giving us the best return on our investment. Because ultimately we want to drive that high engagement and performance, but ultimately we want to make it super profitable as well. And having these types of templates available to us and these additional emails that we send out, leveraging Movable Ink, it creates a lot more flexibility for us to be able to do so. And that's been a huge win for us, especially within this past year, as volumes has increased to support the business.
Yeah, totally. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about how reactionary we have to be as retail marketers. Our time is not always our time, unfortunately. So again, I think the audience may get a little tired of me saying this, but these efficiency wins that we need to get in place before the busier seasons like Q4 are going to be what allows us to be that much more flexible whenever leadership comes down with a new mandate for us to push on a specific initiative. So focusing on those things, testing them out, making sure that they're delivering that revenue or performance metrics that we're looking to hit is going to be very important for all of the listeners on the phone to have a strong Q4. And I'm very glad that Movable Ink has been able to be a part of this wonderful journey. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about your overall tech stack, though, because I feel like there must be multiple pieces to the puzzle. So maybe you can, Michelle, maybe you can share a little bit more about DSW's marketing tech stack and why it has been worth it for DSW to invest in it.
Sure. So, working here at DSW, we always want to be at the forefront of driving personalized and relevant content. So we work with a pretty wide variety of vendors to be able to ensure that, one, we have the right data in place, two, it's living in the right place for us to be able to easily access it, and three, we have the platforms to be able to send communications out to customers when we need to and where we need to in the most convenient way for us and for them. So we do a lot of things as we develop our MarTech stack here. We put a lot of we create a lot of proof of concepts with vendors just to get an understanding of how it works and if that ladders into the better benefit for what our brand needs. But essentially, we are always testing to make sure that, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we want to make sure we're getting the best return. So with anything that we add into our tech stack, how is that laddering into, one, how we operate here internally, and then two, how we're able to get things out the door the most efficiently. So, I would say within our team specifically, we have I would say at least 5 vendors that we're working with on a consistent basis just within our CRM program alone. There's probably more that I'm not even giving any credit to, but we do make sure that we have enough of a robust program and a strong enough vendor to support it, because with our loyalty program, we obviously do have a lot of members that are involved in, our marketing messaging. So, like I said, we just want to make sure that we have the tech stack in place to be able to support that.
Yeah, totally. And one thing I'll add on top of that, and I think anybody on the line who's heard me in any of the webinars I've been hosting recently, is that for all those vendors that you're working with, I'm sure that one of the key things that you're holding them accountable for is to be a true partner, and demonstrating that partnership by surfacing real impactful strategies consistently, so that way we can help the business move the needle in the right way. So I think that that's one thing that I would encourage all of our listeners to push on their tech vendors to do, which is come to us with ideas, come to us with solutions, come to us with the crawl, walk, run approach. That way we can get to that point where all of our campaigns can have that automation, that efficiency, that performance lift because of the new strategies that are being surfaced by those vendors. Aaron, I do have a question for you. What competitive advantages do you see with an innovative campaign like the Sunday Send?
I will say one, I know we keep on repeating this, but it is just incredible to know that we have such a great performing email where week over week we can just continually update the promotion. And it is just so low touch for us, so that we are supporting those business needs. Also, I think we can all agree in general, the word personalization is just such a key term going on right now and a key initiative for all brands. So to know that we have an email like this that is just continually updating week over week, whether it is web crafting in new products, showing real-time inventory, again, just knowing how other customers are engaging with our product, with our reviews, I think it just really is serving that need of giving customers that content that they want and need. And another great thing that I think gives us a little bit of an edge with this program too is we can take a look at, how certain product is trending for a season or business needs, and really update that content to match what is trending right here, right now. Just thinking fall, we know boots will be a trending product for us. So, and we may start to tailor the Sunday Send to pull in best-selling boots, knowing that that is a trending product for us right now. So it really is great knowing that we continue to update and validate the content within the send week over week.
Yeah, and so what I'm hearing there is that speed to market being one of the competitive advantages, that real one-to-one personalization because we are looking at customer behavior. But then on top of that, I think I would add also then that those two things are working so well together to drive against the business needs. So if we know that there's a product that's trending, highlighting that, so it actually serves the business itself, in addition to delivering those personalized content modules in a quick fashion. So let's bring it back full circle to today's topic of Black Friday. You used a version of the Sunday Send as your Black Friday campaign last year, and it garnered some media attention. So, Erin, why do you think this campaign was successful?
I think, during this time frame, you talked about it earlier in the slide, that this is just such a high volume for email, and it's everyone, is trying to grab that inbox attention. So I think giving that customer that personalized content just really stands out in the inbox compared to other competitors, especially during Black Friday. And Ann, I just mentioned this, but I think really taking relevancy and seasonality into account the way that we can with this email campaign really made it stand out last year.
And I'll chime in really quick. I think even with the personalization, it's something as simple as adding somebody's first name into the subject line. Having that capability to say, Michelle, check this out, rather than during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when it seems like every marketer is sending out an email to you in all caps with a percentage offer. It really thinking about the ways that you as the customer would look in your inbox and see what stands out and resonates with you. That's a really big lens that we try to do here on our end as much as possible. So really just even the littlest things with personalization, implementing those in there go a long way. So obviously with the Sunday Send being one that plays into it a little bit more, we were able to see those bigger impacts across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that couldn't be stated more accurately. If we all know that name personalization can drive that much more engagement, so let's think about those really impactful ones where we're pulling in browse content, product recommendations, weather, contextual information, anything really, but that just shows that individual that you as a marketer care about them as an individual rather than save 20% and you're yelling at them in the subject line, as you said. So I can totally see why this was picked up. And again, what stands out to me is that this was also a bit of an efficiency win as well because all these modules had been created in the past and we were sort of able to just repackage it to create a new touch point during a very busy season. So staying on the topic of Black Friday, this is a question for the both of you. Has DSW kicked off Black Friday planning yet? And if so, what type of campaign strategies are you looking to implement for Black Friday?
Stages of holiday right now. We are starting the discussions, but we're really going to gear up in the next month or so to nail down what we're doing within our channels. We already know as a business what we're planning to do and focus on for holiday. So now it's really how do we bring that to life within our channels. So things like brainstorms are likely going to happen, figuring out processes. It's a lot more operationally complex during the holiday time period because there's that huge uptick in volume just across every channel, specifically ours. So really getting everything ticked and tied in terms of making sure that we feel good operationally. But then there's other things like looking to last year, hindsight, figuring out where our wins were and where the areas for opportunity were. We're leaning a lot on those right now to help shape our strategy. I think in our hindsight discussion this year, one of the big things we called out for our channel was, I think I literally put in the deck, movable link for the win, because we had so many great things partnering with them. Even things like what we called weather contingency emails that we're able to send out to people when we have big snowstorms, things like that. So those are all things that we're thinking about as we're going into this year's holiday period. And we're going to make sure that we're as competitive to ourselves as we were this time last year. and then figuring out the best ways we can partner with people like Movable Ink or any of our other vendors to understand the best way we can be the most impactful within our channels. So, Erin, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, just to, even beyond our Sunday Send, I think some wins for us last year using Movable Ink that will carry on to this year's strategy are a couple of dedicated emails we have to just web cropping and highlighting our new arrivals or best-selling styles. This was something that really helped in a high-volume time to, again, create some of that relevant content with web scrapes and including promotions. Another thing that we used a lot last year that Michelle alluded to a little bit earlier was just a reactionary offer template that we had that really allowed us within to be reactionary to business changes as needed in a really fast time frame. So, continuing to leverage those wins from last year using Movable Ink and then taking them to the next level.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for that amazing shout out. Always appreciate it when our clients realize how hard we work towards our partnerships. And then as far as your planning, I'm glad that you're starting early. Definitely, as we've discussed earlier, it's important to get started with those brainstorm sessions to make sure that you are ready to go once the holiday season hits. So we're definitely looking forward to continuing to support you throughout the upcoming holiday season. So Michelle, Erin, it's been wonderful to hear you share more on the evolution of the Sunday Send. It looks like we are coming up on time here, so why don't we open it up to our audience for questions? Just going to pull up our question module here and give everybody else a couple of minutes to add any additional ones. So if you can just click on the Q&A tab within your console, you'll be able to add your questions there. But we do have a couple. Let's see. This one looks like it's for DSW. Are you planning on using any of the functionality from the Sunday Send in other campaigns?
Yes, that's something actually we've started to do right now. Things like our weather forecaster, we've started to include, again, just pulling in relevant products, weather going on at the time frame. Also, again, continuing to pull in new arrivals too. That's something that we see a lot of great engagement with our emails.
And we're looking into ways that we can create something that's in the same vein as the Sunday Send, but to other specific segments. So like kids, for example, or how we have people that are grouped into certain product types or brands and building out a similar modular structure based off of specific tailored segments or behavioral interests. So yeah, all of that to say yes, we are planning on using the functionality. We've already started to because we've seen all of the wins out of that email. There was a lot of opportunity to let that touch a lot of other things within our program.
Great, thank you for that. This next question, I think I can take this one. How well does Movable Ink fit with an organization's existing tech stack? I would say, first off, we are technology agnostic. So as long as there's a data point that we can access and action off of, then we can partner with almost anyone. So I would say one of the things that our account teams generally do is try to understand that tech stack that you're working with right now and create sort of like a matrix of here's all your existing vendors and here's the integration opportunities for each, and look at it from a level of effort kind of point of view. So since we do that so often, we're able to kind of recreate frameworks to say, here's your tech stack and here's how we can just all work together to drive these personalized campaigns. So yes, we can fit very well into your organization's tech stack. Let's see. This one's a bit of a, this one looks like it's for both myself and DSW, so we can all try to answer this. I want to create these sophisticated campaigns like the Sunday Send, but our org isn't really there yet. What are good first steps that we can take towards personalization? I would start off that with saying an email end-to-end sort of view of your process is key, so that way you can find those efficiency wins. I think identifying your bottlenecks is the first step into trying to figure out how to solve for them. So then once you fix those bottlenecks, you'll be able to focus on strategy, which will then allow you to grow your CRM program or your email program into that best in class if you're not quite there yet. And then second, I would say there is a lot of data to activate. Some things certain teams may not fully be aware of what's available, but it could be everything from those low hanging fruits like just the name of somebody to getting a pixel on your website and looking at website behavior and pulling that in, or maybe just going a little bit higher level and looking at contextual data like the weather module that DSW includes in their email campaigns. So that would be my answer. DSW team, is there anything that you would add to that?
I would also say just looking at your program as a whole, and I think I'm probably repeating you, Julio, to a certain extent, but I would say, look at the program, see where the holes are. What is it that your emails are sending out now that seem a little too much of a blanket statement? How do you get yourself out of the whole e-blast sort of mentality? I think that's the big thing, is you start to look at things based off of, if I want to not just batch and blast to everybody, but figure out where those holes are that we could be speaking a little more refined to customers. I think that's a big key step. And then also, to your point, understanding the data that you have and then figuring out the holes in that data as well to see where you can fill those gaps with additional information that will help inform you on what the customer is actually doing, and then you can message to that. From a digital perspective, customers are doing a lot online, and if they're giving you their information, they expect you to know what it is they're doing. So, if I don't have kids, but I'm getting a kid's message, that's going to weird me out a little bit, and I'm going to unsubscribe from it. So how do we figure out where those holes are from a data perspective and start messaging to people and fill in those gaps?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I absolutely agree. It's definitely interesting to hear your point of view on that. Looking at some of the other questions that are coming in, this one says, are there any metrics to show that adding in new content after a sale has expired in an email makes the extra creative worth it? I can take a stab here. I think the most important thing that I would focus on from that point of view is the customer experience. So yes, I'm sure that we've seen incremental revenue. I'm sure that because we'll feature a product that's actually available or something that's a little bit more relevant to the individual. But having a call out in an email that is no longer valid just creates this awful customer experience, and they're more likely to bounce from your website if that thing that you called out to them is no longer available. So I think about it that way, right? They're more likely to bounce because what was promised to them wasn't there versus showing them something that they can click through on. It's actually accurate and it's timely. Let's see, what else do we have here? This one is for DSW. Is DSW personalizing subject lines?
We do first-name personalization within our subject lines. Also, if we know that we're targeting a customer with content that's specific to them, we will also include that within subject line just because we always see that drives the open rate. Things like brand affinity and product affinity, if we're identifying those customers, we certainly pull that into subject line.
And also for any of our VIP program as a whole, we'll tap into, what their rewards are, how close they are to achieving, getting to the next tier, when their rewards expire. So we do as much as possible. It doesn't happen in every single email by any means, but where we can take the time and space to add that personalization in there, we definitely include it, and it is in a variety of ways based off of the data that we have.
Perfect. And I'm going to take one more because we are coming up on time. For those questions that go unanswered, I see quite a few. We'll definitely reach back out with some answers. But this last one is, other than an email subject line, where in the email is it most valuable to personalize the text with the customer's name? What I would say there is, one, yeah, you definitely don't want to overdo it. I think the customers know their name, so definitely the subject line. But there are certain modules that are just now standard practice for email best practices. So if you have a loyalty program, definitely including that name in the loyalty bar if it's available, and if you haven't called it anywhere else. And then I think when you're making product recommendations, that might be a good place for you to include name. So something like, Julio, envision yourself in these boots or something like that. I think that just makes it that much more one-to-one. What I would say is if you're going to do that personalization, make it fit well within the email creative and not just try to avoid having it feel like you're just throwing the name in there for the sake of throwing the name, kind of blend it into the rest of the context. I think that's all the time we have. So we've come to the end of today's webinar on Black Friday strategies for retail marketers. Erin Zoller and Michelle Murphy of DSW, thank you so much. It's definitely been amazing having you here. And of course, the biggest of thank yous to all of you who attended today's webinar. For those of you who have questions that have gone unanswered, as I said before, we will reach back out to you with some answers to your questions. And then we will be making this recording available within 48 hours to all registrants, so keep an eye out for that email and share it with all your friends, because this was a great webinar and we love hearing more from our clients. And if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'm at jlopez@moveableinc.com, so feel free to forward any questions our way. So we hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, Erin, Michelle, thank you for being with us. And everyone else, we'll see you or hear from you at our next webinar.